Hello everybody, and welcome to my new extension to this course. It's been about a year and a half since I recorded this course, and in that time, I've learned some new PowerPoint chops that I'd like to show you in this extension. This is the introduction to the 2017 course extension, and what it's going to focus on is advanced PowerPoint image and text editing. So in the last section, we pretty much used colored boxes, text, and existing images to produce a book cover. And we could create quite nice book covers, but you were dependent upon the images that you could find in whole. In this lecture, I'm going to talk about how to create compound images, or how to cut up images. Cut up some into silhouettes and some into frames, and then put them together to create images that never existed before. So let's take a look at the topics that will be covered in this course. By the way, this set of lectures doubles the length of the original course from 1.5 hours to 3 hours. So it's quite an extensive edition, and I think you're going to like it. The first thing that we're going to cover is book cover versions, multiple book covers, and exporting. It turns out that you can use slides to maintain multiple book covers within a single PowerPoint file. So you can use that for versioning. So you work on a slide and you get a book cover pretty close to what you want, and then you go, okay, create a duplicate of that slide. Now I'm going to work on a duplicate so that I have a kind of a snapshot of a version, and I can make modifications to it and come up with another version. And then I could duplicate a slide and make another version. I can do the same thing to have multiple book covers for multiple books within a single PowerPoint presentation. And then when you export, instead of exporting a single file to a JPEG, as you learned in the previous section, we're going to export every slide in our multi-slide PowerPoint presentation to separate JPEG files in a directory. So we'll export multiple JPEG files, one for each slide. The next thing we're going to look at is the basics of resizing, positioning, rotating, flipping, and cropping images. These are the basics of image manipulation that you really need to be able to start. Next comes some magic that I learned from my wife, and that is how to use PowerPoint to remove backgrounds from images to cut out silhouettes of people and things that you want to turn into a composite image. The next lecture is kind of the inverse of that. It's a way to use the same technique to cut holes in things, to turn images into frames. You can then stuff images into the holes that you make to have things like frames around a picture of you when the picture of you wasn't originally in the picture, or cloudy skies on streets when the skies were originally blue. And one of the things you need to know to put images together is stacking image layers and controlling the image stack order. As you bring things to the front of the stack, then they overlay things in the back of the stack, so you can overlay images to make a composite image. Next, we're going to learn about working with individual images and grouping slide elements. Now, we already looked at this previously in the previous section, but we're going to take an even more detailed look at grouping and configuring groups and images and moving them. Next, we're going to look at applying artistic effects, color, corrections, picture styles, and effects to both individual images and groups of images. Then we're going to add information about text. 2 ways to put text in: via a shape that has text in it, and via a text box that has a shape behind it to make it pop, or optionally has a shape behind it to make it pop. The other thing we're going to look at is a free font site called DaFont online, where you can get some wild fonts, add them to your Windows operating system, and then they're available in PowerPoint, Word, or any other Windows application. Finally, we're going to pull this all together into the big book cover image example, where I'm going to prove to you that all of this stuff actually works by creating a pretty sophisticated composite image for the background of a book cover. And then I added one bonus lecture. As I was putting this section together, I had a section on motion, and I realized, wait a second, yeah, motion is big in PowerPoint slides, but book covers don't move. So I removed that, but I really like it. And if you want to create a little mini movie, that's what I show you, how to create a little mini movie of a book cover where the components move so that you can create a little mini thing that you throw out on Facebook and stuff to advertise your book cover. It's basically going to make a moving book cover. Or a book cover movie for you. A very short, 5 seconds long, just things moving on the book cover. So that's it for this section. I think you're really going to enjoy the addition that I've made. And without further ado, let's get started.